Hundreds of thousands of Iranians have taken to the streets in protest. They're not chanting death to America or even death to Israel. Instead, they're crying out death to the dictator.
Fed up with unemployment, high prices, and repressive rulers, these Iranians are demanding an end to the brutal regime in Tehran. Many of them are also turning to Islam. Chris Mitchell reports.
In more than 40 cities throughout Iran, its citizens are calling for regime change with cries like death to the dictator and our enemy is not America. And as it has in the past, the government has sent out its security forces to brutally suppress the protest. Dr. Amir Hamidi came to Israel as part of the Shoshana mission to Israel, a goodwill delegation from Iranian organizations outside of Iran. They met with Israeli officials, Iranian expats, and came to tell the world what's happening to the Iranian people.
Lots of people uprising because of the mismanagement of the economy, and people are unemployed, people are not working. Food is so expensive, they cannot afford to even eat, and they cannot manage the country. And brutality is unbelievable, human rights are violated, lots of political prisoners, people get executed for no reason.
The slogans say it all. These slogans want to do away with the regime, with the Islamic Republic. They say our enemy is not the United States, our enemy is here in Iran. What they say is we don't want neither Gaza nor Lebanon, our life is for Iran. So it is about themselves and their hopes and aspirations.
These protests in 2022 follow demonstrations all the way back to the Green Revolution in 2009 calling for regime change. The question is, could these protests succeed when others have not? Is it realistic that the regime could be overthrown?
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Because you cannot force the people to live in past 43 years, and they cannot have any freedom of speech, freedom of work. It doesn't exist.
Pastor Nazanin Bahestani told CBN's George Thomas how some Iranians are turning away from Islam in the midst of this crisis.
They are so fed up of Islam, and they see everything from Islam's point of view because the government, the leaders saying that because of Islam, you have to endure. And they say, we don't want to endure this religion. So many are calling us and wanting a new God, wanting to look up to Jesus.
Christians are persecuted in Iran, but Pastor Nazanin says that where there is more persecution, the people are more courageous, and they continue to spread the message of Jesus Christ. Gordon?
Well, Chris, what can you tell us about the church in Iran? How is it holding up under this persecution?
Well, Gordon, I can tell you, first of all, the church is growing. In fact, it's the fastest growing church in the world per capita. And what it's marked by, Gordon, is Muslim coming to faith through dreams and visions. And one told me these dreams and visions, the number of them are sort of off the charts. So they have an underground church, but they also have a cyber church that's connected to the internet. And what I'm hearing, and just to echo what the pastor said, the Iranians, they're spiritually hungry. They're searching for the truth. There's a deep dissatisfaction with Islam. In fact, some are saying Iran is now a post-Islamic country with only a small percentage of Iranians that actually go to the mosque. Many Iranians, they hate the government. They don't hate the West or America. And the regime, for that matter, they fear the church, and sometimes perhaps even more than Israel. And many feel the government will collapse and could collapse. And some say the church needs to be ready to respond if that happens inside Iran.
Well, let's look at the protests. Back during the Green Revolution, the government unleashed snipers on the protesters. We just saw the video where they're beating a man in the street with a baton. How is the leadership responding, and is there real potential here to create change?
Well, as they have in 2009, Gordon, here, they're doing the same thing in 2020. That was a horrific video of that man being beat up on the street. So brutality, that's one of the first things they use. And then the arrests of protesters. What they're also trying to do, Gordon, is shutting down the internet. They don't want these videos getting out. And then you have heavy police and security presence to try to stop any protests from even gathering. And so the question is, will the protests get to a tipping point to overthrow the government? Many have been optimistic in the past during these previous protests, like in 2019. But so far, the regime has been able to hold on to power. And that's why many are praying that this regime will fall. And if it does, Gordon, it's going to be a game changer for the Middle East.
Well, let's look at Saudi Arabia. They obviously are a counterbalance to Iran in the Middle East. And President Biden had planned to make a trip over there this summer. Where does that trip stand?
Well, right now, President Biden said, he may visit. It's not confirmed just yet. But he also may meet with the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And the reason that's significant, Gordon, is that the relations between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have been very rocky since the Biden administration took office. During the campaign, then candidate Biden called Saudi Arabia a pariah state. And that's and now that he's in office, he released a CIA report blaming the death of Jamil Khashoggi on the Crown Prince. But there's two things that puts Biden's trip in context, Gordon. And one, Biden needs more Saudi oil to reduce the gas prices in the United States. And the Biden administration, what they're doing is they're brokering talks between Israel and the Saudis to try to normalize relations. And what that will do will try to help repair the U.S.-Saudi relationship.
All right. Well, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Tom Nides, yesterday said that Israel may be on this trip, too. Are you hearing rumors that he may do a joint trip, one to Saudi Arabia, one to Israel?
That's exactly true. There is the possibility of him coming here to Israel. What may prevent him from coming, Gordon, is the fact that right now the coalition is very fragile. There was a vote in the Knesset yesterday where the coalition government lost that election, and it's not certain if this coalition government is going to last. And if it's going to go to new elections or there's a change in the government, it's possible that Biden may not come here to Israel, but go directly to Saudi Arabia.
All right, Chris, thanks for the insight. Thanks for the reporting.